Do you ever feel like Republicans are acting like assholes on purpose? Well, you're right, and I'm going to tell you why on this episode of InfoHazard.
Hell yeah, dude. I love things that tell me I'm right to feel the way that I do.
So if there's one thing that pisses off people and gets them out of the Democratic Party more than anything else, I would have to say it's virtue signaling. The idea that you're expressing a moral viewpoint and your intent is to just communicate good character. It doesn't cost you anything. You're just identifying like, oh, I'm a good person because I think that the whales should be saved. But there's a flip side to that, and I was inspired by this Jimmy the Giant video I saw called The Terrifying Rise of Vice Signaling. So I'd never heard of this term before. Kind of makes sense, right? Vice, opposite of virtue, got virtue signaling. Well, what's the opposite of that? It's vice signaling. It's the idea is you express negative or controversial viewpoints with the intent of communicating that you're like tough or you're rebellious or ruthless or whatever. You know, you're a badass kind of guy, right? Or gal or them, but usually a guy.
So would like Richard Nixon count for this with his like trying to seem crazy so the Soviets would be scared and not knowing what he would do? Or...
He did
I
that?
think that's a good example of that. Sure. But that's more like acting erratically. If you're flip-flopping between different kind of strategies, that communicates craziness. But no, I think presidentially you're on the right track. Who would you say, if you had to pick someone after just hearing the definition now, who is the absolute fucking undisputed champion of vice signaling?
I mean, clearly everyone is thinking the same thing right now, right? Like even his supporters probably.
Yeah, that's right. Barack Obama. I mean, when he talks about hope, it's like
Please.
Come on. You're just trying
Nothing's
to rub
worse
it
than
in
hope.
faces.
No, obviously Trump, right? Come
Right,
on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, obviously.
I tried.
It's not funny to say the obvious thing. But yes, Trump, clearly. If you go through the last 10, 15 years of political history, the main driver at the heart of the Republican Party is Trump and the rise of vice signaling, saying the bad thing to communicate that you're bad, basically. Like, maybe like bad like tough, and that's why people like you, but bad.
Yeah, it's really interesting like what this tries to achieve. I feel like there's several angles of it. One is people get outraged by it and they like to watch people be uncomfortable, like they are sort of sadists. And they also just dislike, I don't know, conscientious people.
Yeah, they want to harm people they dislike, right? Like you're not going to signal your moral virtue and then, get away with exterminating an ethnic group. Anyways, like we got to get rid of the blanks. That's like vice signaling. Right.
I think another thing that's appealing about it is some of it, lots of people have described Trump as a truth teller. And some of the vice signaling things, I can't currently think of any, but I'm sure I can if pressed. Some of these...
Well, I've got good news.
They have a kernel of truth to them. It's like politically incorrect, right? Some of this is just political incorrectness where you're actually like saying something that's true, but it's just not something that people are comfortable saying. So I feel like there's a little bit of that, or like it looks like that.
Sure, like a stereotype is an example of this. There are trends that undergird stereotypes. If you were just to say, all white people like mayonnaise, that's not technically true, but there is a correlation that underlies that, right? So yeah. Well, congratulations on your newfound knowledge. You know the difference between vice signaling and virtue signaling. And let's apply it. I've got a little roundup of some recent news stories, and we're going to kind of sort them into like, how do we think this shakes out in the whole moral universe of virtue and vice signaling? So, news item number 1. This last week, Trump reinstated Columbus Day. I got a little statement from the man himself here, Donald Trump. Ever since Christopher Columbus set foot on the American continent and discovered the USA in 1492, the mob has been trying to destroy his accomplishments and tarnish his name with fake news. No longer will this be the case. Along with reinstating Columbus Day, President Trump will be placing a 35-foot golden statue of Columbus at E Street near the White House, delivering for America.
Thanks,
So,
Donald. 35-foot tall gold
35-foot golden Christopher Columbus.
All right. At least the man himself probably would have loved that as a tribute, right? He was all about gold, so he would love a 35-foot golden statue of himself.
Yeah, he's a little late, but in a way, he did find gold in the Americas.
And immortality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, this
you
to me, this is like the archetypical vice signaling, right?
Absolutely.
This is just like, oh, you're not supposed to celebrate Christopher Columbus because of the genocide and the systematic rape. But actually, I think it's great, and we should be proud of our achievements of finding not India. So this is our guy.
Hooray for being bad at math.
Christopher Columbus knew that he didn't find India. That's a common misconception. He's just making a big statement about the thing you're not supposed to celebrate, right?
Yeah, he's not materially improving any Trump supporter's life by glazing Christopher Columbus. A man who was too brutal for Spanish colonial authorities, by the way.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
They were like horrified by the shit that Christopher Columbus did. The Spanish were like, oh my God, you're too brutal. What are you doing to these poor people? That's how bad Christopher Columbus was, dude.
Yeah, and the Spanish Empire, not exactly known for known for their great colonial practices, though I guess he's pretty much at the beginning of that, right? Like, maybe he set the tone for future colonial endeavors.
So I was trying to think, okay, is vice signaling or actual vice? But yeah, since it's just, I'm going to proclaim a holiday kind of thing and put up a statue, that's just pure signaling.
And it doesn't materially impact anyone's life. If we call it Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, but it doesn't burn and pillage your village or whatever.
So quick question. When it was changed to Indigenous Peoples Day, was that virtue signaling?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Actual virtue would be helping real Indigenous people. Virtue signaling is just being, we thought about you one day of the year.
I mean, we stopped naming a holiday after your genocider. Yeah. Still signaling.
We named a holiday. That's like we've renamed this street to Martin Luther King Boulevard, but we've done nothing to materially improve the lives of people affected by the long legacy of slavery.
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
The people actually
cool.
living on Martin Luther King Boulevard were not helped in any way.
Now, I thought I had a good transition here when you brought up the virtue signaling, but actually, I think I wanted something to put in the question mark box, but we'll see. This is Kamala Harris, so as sort of just an acknowledgement of her general vibe, I'm going to start her off in virtue signaling. And I've got this news story. Kamala Harris unveils Headquarters 6-7 to mobilize Gen Z through new digital media hub.
What?
How is she the person for this job, dude? Didn't she have terrible turnout among Gen Z?
So this is probably an acknowledgement of her failure to reach that. And the most ham-fisted and ineffective first swing at getting a new presidential campaign going. You see, this Headquarters 6-7 was a relaunch of her social media account that she used for the campaign headquarters.
Do you really think she's going to run again, dude? Please no. Please
Yeah,
no,
well,
dude.
She's currently setting it up. She's currently going for it.
Yeah, of course she's going to run.
It's not, of course, dude. People used to stop running when they lost. It's only a new phenomenon now that people keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry. So I think this is vice signaling because 6-7 is like widely considered just like a super obnoxious, like ridiculous thing. Right. And so she's like, yeah, I'm part of like 6-7. Like I'm a bad girl.
Hello,
like
fellow kids.
Youth. I think it's vice signaling.
Like, oh, I'm not supposed to know about this brain rot.
I think it's
I'm
vice
stupid
signaling
too.
because she shouldn't run again, and it's signaling that she might do that. Maybe even actual vice, dude. If she actually runs, this would move into actual vice.
I will note that it took 5 hours before they took down the Headquarters 6-7 due to the backlash.
So stupid. Like, what? Who thought that was a good idea?
Not someone smart.
Dude.
Are you sure you want to put in vice signaling? This, to me, that it's not
No.
vice signaling. We're not supposed to know about it. To me, it's like, I want to identify with the youth. We can
Right.
we know all about all of the memes. We're with you. We can represent you. But like,
Right,
it's
just
so
pandering.
inept.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, no, it's realistically, you're right. I just have such a visceral negative reaction to the idea of her running for president again.
No,
Yeah.
it's vice signaling. Let's put it there.
Maybe you heard of this next one then. This is the truth that DJT Truth this week, where he posted a video of the Obamas. Obama got cut off here. Barack got cut off here, but he is also being depicted as a monkey in a video released by the president.
Which
So-
he did not really own up to very well, right? First, he was like, yeah, I posted it and I meant it. And then he was like, actually, a staffer posted it and they didn't mean it and they've been fired.
I just saw the thumbnail and it was just more bullshit from Trump that fits so cleanly into this. Like, it didn't hurt the Obamas in any meaningful way, right? Like, they're millionaires, they're on to different projects.
Well, you say it didn't hurt them, but now they know that Donald Trump doesn't like them and he might be a racist, dude.
I'm sure both were shocking revelations to Michelle and Barack.
Yes, this just seems like classic vice signaling then, right?
All right. I got another one. You might notice that as we go through, I get a little distracted and maybe go a little deeper on some of these stories than others. Stop the steal. Donald J. Trump is calling to nationalize elections.
This is actual vice, surely.
Yeah. So, well, he hasn't actually stolen an election yet, but here's the quote I got from him. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. He was talking to Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, welcome back to the podcasting game. Glad to have you aboard and out of the FBI.
Okay, yeah, I guess. In that
Glad to
case,
have you
yes.
out of the FBI. I mean, so I feel like until it's actually issuing executive orders, I mean, of course, he has issued executive orders to like attempt to undermine the integrity of elections, but attempting to nationalize the election, I mean, it's sort of meaningless in a way. Seems like vice signaling rather than actual vice until there's action taken.
I'm going to argue
Yeah,
against you and say that
I'm in between, but go ahead.
I'm going to say that this is actual vice because he would do it if he were allowed to, right? It's only that people might stop him that makes this possibly vice signaling.
Maybe to go further, what you're saying is by talking about it, he's not just saying he's trying to shift the Overton window. He's trying to incite it. He's trying to encourage people all over the place to start interfering with the election and to favor him. Just like when he was saying stop the steal after the election in 2020, he wasn't just vice signaling. He wasn't just lying. He was attempting to defraud. So, okay.
If you don't believe us, believe Jack Smith.
It's just that it was just on a podcast. You can't take anything serious if it's on a podcast.
I think the argument for actual vice is that he's laying the groundwork. This is the start of a coordinated campaign to steal the 2026 elections. I can't see it as anything other than that because it's what he did with the 2020 elections. He started just going on and on about how the elections will be rigged. And then when the elections happened, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe they were rigged. But he set up all this doubt ahead of time to prepare his audience for when he would declare the elections fraudulent.
Ironically, he actually did this both in 2016 and 2024 also. It's just that he won, so he immediately dropped it as soon as he won.
He did it for all three. Every election that he's been involved with, he's laid the groundwork ahead of time just in case he loses so he can claim it was stolen the whole time.
In this case, he's trying to like build some support behind this idea that they can nationalize elections, which is like talked in yesterday's episode about the constitutionality, seemingly unconstitutional. Even our Supreme Court doesn't seem likely to let this happen. I mean, I haven't seen their ruling on birthright citizenship yet, but it seems like they still are pretty much going to look at the blatant text of the Constitution for stuff like trying to nationalize elections, which is explicitly the domain of the states in the Constitution.
See yesterday's episode for how reliable the Constitution is for matters of law.
So I think you should put this one
Anywho.
in actual vice then, because it was two
Okay.
out of 3 voted actual vice.
All right. Well, this might be a crowded category because next up we got Steve Bannon. So,
I don't know. He
Steve
does lots
Bannon.
of vice signaling also, not just vice.
I mean, he mostly exists in here, but when it comes to, well, I'll just read the quote here. So this is Steve Bannon calling on Trump to deploy ICE and the military to polling sites.
I think you can only give this guy signaling at this stage because he's not actually important enough to do anything. All he does is act like he's in on big shit and calling on Trump.
Well,
to do this.
okay. Let's let him read the quote first before we make
but
any
here's the quote,
definitive
here's the quote.
ruling here.
Okay.
All right, here's the quote. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again, Bannon said Tuesday on his podcast. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. So it's definitely got the hallmarks of vice signaling there, casually insulting, you act like a big baby. But yeah, no, we're going to march the military in and force you to vote for us. I think that a good point you had earlier was like Steve Bannon is somewhat on the margins of the MAGA apparatus, I would say. As much as he's like the architect of so much of their strategy and was involved in the conservative resurgence and deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein and the sort of dark money funding of the resurgence of the political right in America. He operates mostly through signaling, basically. I don't know. Maybe I kind of talked myself into actual vice there.
Also, this is really unimportant, but it kind of jumped out at me that he's like Mr. We're Americans, but he said pram. That's not a very American word.
What is pram?
It's
Yeah.
a baby carriage.
He's like an undercover Brit. It's a baby carriage, but it's a British word for it. I don't know. Is it vice signaling to just be like trying to scare the libs? I don't know if this is necessarily like something that even his core audience is like, yeah, that'll show them.
He's also just bragging, right? Like, he's just like, we're going to surround all the polling places with the military and ICE, as if the American military doesn't have approximately 50% of their members ready to vote against Donald Trump. Yeah, this guy's just like a braggadocious.
Didn't make it onto the list. A little follow-up on last week's episode that is military officers were caught making their subordinates go watch the Melania movie.
I mean,
That's
like as
against-
a joke.
That's cruel and
Or,
unusual
like-
punishment, dude.
Sorry, like you are saying just like as a hazing ritual, not like they were like following orders.
You only get so much leisure time on base, and they have team building exercises, and you go to a few of these to kind of fill out your quota for the week, and you go with the other soldiers on base, and they would offer the Melania movie and encourage them to go to the Melania movie as one of their team building exercises. But like, if it's your superior officer encouraging you to do something, it's kind of like an order. I don't know. It's a weird story.
Well, you've seen
Okay,
the
so
movie.
not hazing.
If you were offered the choice between scrubbing latrines and watching Melania, which would you choose?
Those would be some clean latrines, I'll say.
Yeah, at least with cleaning the latrines, like you're doing something useful, right?
Is vice signaling fine? Or yeah,
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 that's
fine.
fine.
I don't care. All right. So do you guys recognize? I don't know if you can read this.
Too teeny.
Body camera video gives look inside FBI raid at Fulton County Elections Hub. So this is the FBI seizing the voting rolls at Fulton County. This is the Georgia county.
Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right. I mean, the cities like that. That's the big city in Georgia.
Yeah, it's in Fulton County.
And cities vote blue because when you're in contact with people, you realize they're not actually so bad. So you're less angry all the time.
I think there's more to it than that, but yeah.
That basically sums it up. I don't know.
Anyways, so the stated reason for this raid was they were investigating allegations of fraud in the 2020 presidential election. However, they showed up and they took the boxes they wanted. This is a quote from Pitt's election official here. We don't even have copies of what they took. We don't know where they are and who has them, and that's a problem.
What did they take?
They don't
It
know.
is not
That's what he
clear.
was just saying.
The FBI did not state so they just took a bunch of election somethings election-related somethings from the Fulton County office, the elections hub.
They don't know like what's missing. Like they don't have like an inventory of their stuff. I guess there's a lot of stuff.
Maybe the inventory got taken, dude.
I mean, you've worked in an office, right? Like you don't have an inventory of every document in the company, right? Like,
I would say this is mostly vice signaling with some light actual vice in there also.
I think this is clear actual vice.
The effect for most people is just going to kind of vaguely reinforce the 2020 election was stolen narrative, but he's not.
There's something fishy.
There's not a ton of substantive action involved here. You know, this isn't like deploying 10,000 ICE agents to Minneapolis.
Well, yeah, it's not like that, but it is like you don't think this is like a practice run for actually taking important election materials soon after or around election day?
Like his statement of intent to want to nationalize the elections down here as actual vice because he's setting up the framework. This is clearly setting up the framework to claim a fraudulent election, right?
So you guys are both on actual vice for this one?
This is a more substantive step.
Like he is, there is some actual vice in here. I just don't think it's the dominant.
You really think it's all just about like keeping the flame going?
I think it's mostly about that, you know, like 80-20. He's just mostly trying to toss some red meat to his base. One more point for them to be like, look, it truly was stolen. He had to go investigate.
Man. He could just tweet that or whatever. But here, there's some possibility that since they took all these documents and now they'll fabricate something, right? Maybe they'll actually start a prosecution based off of this.
Well, so that would be actual vice. Now we're getting kind of into the semantic weeds of like,
right? But so you're
you're
trying to understand the intention of this step, and you're saying that it's to throw red meat, and I'm saying, and I think Phil's saying, it's something like a practice run for the real steal, or maybe that's trying to fabricate evidence to actually prosecute someone, which is actual vice. We don't know the intention, and probably the intention is, all of these are probably benefits. Maybe they'll discover something actually a mess, which I'm sure they'd be shocked. They'd be like, wait, what? There's actually something going on here?
All right. The top half of this is looking pretty lonely. Let's maybe try to move up here. So this isn't a news story, but it's basically emblematic of 100,000 news stories we've had over the past 10 years or so. This is just Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer hashing out their next speech over drinks. And Jeffries is saying, "We're unhappy with Trump's latest dictatorial moves." And Schumer goes, "We used unhappy before. Let's go with troubled."
I think that's question marks.
That's a high quality comic, actually. I like it.
All right.
I would say that it's depicting virtue signaling clearly. Right?
Is it?
Yeah, they want to position themselves. What's the definition of virtue signaling here? It's when you express a moral viewpoint with the intent of communicating good character. Often when people describe someone's actions as virtue signaling, they are highlighting behavior meant to gain social approval without taking meaningful action.
Boy, if you were to describe the current Democratic Party in like one sentence, virtue signaling.
We didn't even get to it earlier, but I had some examples of virtue signaling just to kind of set the mood. Changing your profile picture to a Ukrainian flag, advertising how many carbon credits your company buys, that kind of stuff.
Though, I mean, to me, the reason I think this cartoon didn't jump out to me as virtue signaling was I think most of the Democrats actually are what these guys are saying. They are troubled by Trump's latest dictatorial action. I think that that's truly how they feel about it.
Are they troubled enough to take a stand?
No, not really. But that doesn't make it virtue signaling. Like, I think that they're just...
I think people misunderstand about virtue signaling is that these are sincerely held beliefs more often than not. People dislike virtue signaling because it seems insincere, because you're not taking a risk to say these things. But mostly people just say what they mean. They are saying Russia's activity in Ukraine is deplorable. It's true, and it's very reasonable for you to think so, but you're not exactly putting on Kevlar and going out and defending Kiev, right?
Okay, got it. Fair enough. Yeah, so I tend to think of it as being like really heavy on the marketing.
Okay. I'm going to pre-sort this into actual virtue. Donald Trump dressed as a thief or a bandit.
The Hamburglar?
Yeah, it's Donald Trump, the Hamburglar. He is sort of a Hamburglar, isn't he? He has a great affinity for hamburgers.
And stealing.
And stealing. Like he did. Like he's planning to. Taxpayers are set to personally pay Trump $10 billion if he wins a lawsuit against his own IRS.
What do you think? Are they going to fight hard against him?
I suspect that they will not, because he will have a say over whether or not they will fight very hard against them.
This one's like hard to believe. I mean, obviously, actual vice, right? Actual vice.
Yeah, he's just paying himself $10 billion straight out of the country.
Just straight theft from the American people. But let's go a little bit.
Come on, it's not straight
over the
theft.
details.
He dressed it up a little bit, dude. It's not like he's literally stealing it.
Let's put lipstick on this hog, shall we? So Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit demanding $10 billion in damages from the federal government he oversees. He is alleging that he was wronged by the release of tax returns by a whistleblower within the IRS. He's alleging that the IRS failed to stop this whistleblower from releasing this information, and therefore the American people owe him $10 billion.
He's really saying he would be $10 billion richer if this hadn't happened? Like he's been damaged
So
to the tune of $10 billion?
here's what he says. And any money that I win, I'll give it to charity, 100% to charities. Charities that will be approved by the government or whatever.
Who cares? Even if it's true, first of all, he's
or
lying.
Whatever.
But like
or
charities,
whatever. He doesn't even have he's not even pretending to fake it.
Right, and the airplane will go to his library, and I'm sure that the charities will pay salaries to his family members, right?
I mean, he's not allowed to run a charity because he was convicted of defrauding a children's cancer charity, dude, that he was running.
It doesn't stop him from doing it, though. He's clearly allowed to still run these foundations where his family is.
All this corruption is actual vice. It's actual, these ones where he's suing the government, right? And basically there's this huge conflict of interest. You'd fire them if they start to fight his lawsuits, right? This is so much more direct than his crypto scheme, right? Okay, I mean, I guess the jet is pretty fucking obvious. This one is so obvious. I don't know.
It's just so much crazier than the first term. It's
so much.
In the first term, we all got our panties in a twist over him staying in charge of his businesses or whatever, and then moving government policy in a way that's gonna make his companies more money. That's just standard level corruption for a politician. And this time, he's just taking money from the government, siphoning it into his own accounts.
I mean, even in his first term, to be fair, he was not standard corrupt politician, right? He also pardoned people who had donated and who defrauded and donated to him. He had lots of government business that he sent to his own businesses, all these meetings at Mar-a-Lago, all these international guests at Trump hotels. So he was more corrupt than usual, even in his first term.
Phil's just one of those typical liberals who don't want to give President Trump credit, dude. He excels at corruption, dude. He is the best at corruption. Nobody is better at corruption than him.
So Rod Blagojevich, a man that he pardoned, he attempted to sell a Senate seat. That was a historic level of corruption for the time. It is a form of corruption that is probably most common is patronage, where you distribute out salaries and positions based on people who give you favors, right? And this is just a kingly patronage job. This is the biggest patronage job that's ever been tried to sell. But Trump does this shit.
People sold the Roman emperorship, dude.
Okay, in America. That's what I'm saying. I knew you were going to go the ancient Rome example because I knew that happened. But yeah.
Typical Danny. Yeah, so Trump, hella corrupt. Yep, it's our money he's stealing. All that money you pay in taxes, he's taking.
And you know what the damnedest thing about this is? It's not even the first time he's sued the government that he controls to get millions of dollars. In this other example here, I got him given the stinky eye at Kash Patel here. He sued the Justice Department. He demanded $230 million in damages for being prosecuted by the Justice Department for, I think this was about
For the crimes that he
Russiagate
committed.
stuff. Well, yeah, sure. And yeah, this is like a combination of all of the things that he's been prosecuted for.
Right. So where do these
stealing
things
government
stand?
documents.
So he sued them. Like,
It's, you know,
when
even when you want to like have your own Justice Department settle with you, it still takes time. It's moving along slowly.
Yeah.
It has not concluded one way or the other yet.
Yeah, this first claim was lodged in late 2023, but after that time, he won the election, so he gained control of the government that is supposed to be defending against this claim. But then he made a second complaint in the summer of 2024, accusing the FBI of violating Mr. Trump's privacy by searching Mar-a-Lago for all of the documents that he put in his bathroom.
Right, where they found ample evidence that he had committed felonies.
Yeah, and we're still seeing evidence of these things. He sold top secret defense information to the Qatari government in exchange for straight up bribes. The plane is suspected to be part of that transaction. Anyways.
Seems pretty similar to the last one, right?
Vice.
Yeah, actual Vice, right? It's basically the same exact situation.
Easy. I don't know if you remember this quote. Well, I got two quotes here. I was damaged very greatly, and any money I would get, I would give to charity.
Of course.
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe actual virtue.
No, like the charity oligarchic complex is not virtuous.
Yeah, no, it all goes to Make-A-Wish, but like the Trump subsidiary, Make-A-Wish parentheses if you're Donald J. Trump.
Also, you know, he was damaged so severely he was catapulted into the presidency. Many people would like to receive such damage.
Yeah.
Here's the quote you probably remember about this. I'm the one that makes the decision, and that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself.
Sounds real strange.
Real strange.
With your
Real
money.
Strange. Yeah. I hope that doesn't make him too uncomfortable.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to do it, he should not do it.
This isn't resolved, but I've got a little update on this. Senator Adam Schiff, California senator, he is introducing the No Torts for Trump Act, which is legislation to prohibit sitting presidents from seeking taxpayer-funded payouts under the Federal Tort Claims Act. What was that phrase you used earlier? This is a law that applies to only one person and is therefore unenforceable?
Bill of Attainder?
Yeah, this is a bill of attainder. I mean, it's not technically a bill of attainder because
No, any president.
fingers crossed there will be more presidents, but yeah, this is a problem with specifically Donald Trump, and we need to address it. The president should not be able to sue their own government and get money for their own personal accounts. So I was a little worried that this would get stuck in virtue signaling because this is a law introduced to Congress, current Congress,
by a Democrat,
where the Democrats possess neither majority. So whatever great idea they have, it's not going to get passed. But I think it is at least the right direction to the point where if this goes around, this sticks around in the wheels of committee long enough, it could come across for a vote like after Democrats retake the House and the Senate.
I mean, Adam Schiff is also a very performative politician, right? So he's obviously has his eyes on bigger things. Obviously, there's some intention that it's to be visible. So I'm sure there's an aspect of signaling. But yeah, sounds like an important bill to pass based off your description. So you gotta give him credit. And it's not like he's taking no action. He's proposing a bill.
Yeah, good enough. He's a congressperson. He proposed a bill. He was doing his job. I'd say that's an actual virtue. All right. I was worried that he'd get stuck in virtue signaling. So
I think you gotta grade Congressman's virtue on a curve, dude.
Yeah. So I brought Big Z, the Zo dog, Zoran Mamdani. Here he is, filling a pothole. And which is kind of virtue signaling, but he did actually fill the pothole. So
really.
Yeah.
As much as I love Zomo, I don't know, dude. I think it's pretty virtue signaling. But it's also just kind of standard politician fare, so.
But also, you guys are big law heads, so I picked an example that would appeal to you. So his executive orders, this is two housing supply orders. So he put out the Land Inventory Fast Track Task Force with his Executive Order 4 that is going to comb through city-owned and city-affiliated properties to identify sites capable of supporting 25,000 new units over the next decade. So he's making a government program to build 25,000 new units of like apartments over the next
looking
10
into
years.
it.
Yeah. And this Executive Order 5 is he's got a streamlining procedures, blah, blah, blah. So SPEED is the acronym. Task force charged with identifying bottlenecks in the city's arduous permitting and approval processes and finding fixes within 100 days. Addressing the core problem with the affordability crisis for housing, which is the low supply.
Sounds reasonable. It seems like too early to give it much credit. Told some people to look into something and then told some other people to look into something else, right? Now, the things that he's told them to look into are...
Wait, okay, hold on. That's a little unfair. We literally have a picture of him right here filling a pothole, not just telling people to fill a pothole.
So I mean, sorry, the filling the pothole is obvious virtuous signaling 100%. But
now he's just stuck in this Kafka trap, dude. You know, if he actually fills a pothole, that's performative. But if he tells people to do something, that's, you know.
The problem was a pothole. He filled the pothole.
The problem was the lack of a photo op this day, and the solution was a pothole and a shovel.
All right, fair enough, yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying, it sounds good, but it's a little too early. It's just too early for me to, I mean, what, we're going to say it's actual virtue? He is mayor, and all his promises are about affordability, and so he asked some people, or like, he told people to look into these issues related to affordability. It's not that I want more. It's just that I'm not in a big hurry to fall over for the guy.
How could you rate that as virtue signaling, but then this law that won't get passed?
I'm not rating it as virtue signaling. I'm not saying it's virtue signaling. What I'm saying is it's either actual virtue or question marks because nothing's actually happened yet. It's too small to be actual virtue. But yeah, anyway, same is true, I guess, of Adam Schiff's. Fair enough.
A lot of these, we don't know the outcomes yet, but we're still judging them, you know?
That's
based
true.
on intent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel like virtue signaling is more about intent anyway. Like, do you intend to actually make something happen, or are you just like, look at how great I am? You know, that's what defines the difference for me.
The problem of affordability in real estate in New York. The problem is very gnarly and also complex. And I mean, you might think intractable. It would be easy for me to believe that nobody would think that these would cause any dent in the prices of real estate in New York City. And so, like, it's just trying to demonstrate that he's doing something. When in reality, you're running for mayor, and mayor doesn't have the power to make New York City affordable, right?
Look, his
whole campaign is...
You're identifying that it's not virtue signaling because the thing that defines virtue signaling is that it doesn't cost you anything. You're poking all these holes in this action because he put it down on paper. Like, he is staking his reputation on like these policies and getting these things done. He's putting his political life on the line by making actual policy here.
All right, David, let me ask you this. What would actual virtue look like in this case to you then, if it's not something like this?
If they actually find administrative, red tape that they can eliminate, and they actually show that the speed of real estate being built is improving.
That would be as hard as possible, but doesn't succeed, then he was like, it doesn't count anymore.
No, did I say that? First of all, did I say that?
Like, I'm not trying to be mean.
Misunderstand me.
I'm genuinely trying to understand what you're saying here. Like,
yeah. So I'm not saying that this is not actually virtuous, but I was just considering some other possibilities, right? Like, because even if it is actually virtuous, it's like super early, right? Obviously,
it is super early,
and like I actually think that it might not be possible for the mayor of New York to do much at all about affordability in New York, right? Like, the mayor, he might be fully aware of that, right? In which case, his whole campaign was built on false promises, right? Seems to me like his proposal of grocery stores, this is going to change affordability of groceries. A lot of the promises are must be knowingly above what reality is. So anyway, in which case the intention of those policies isn't to actually make the stated impact. It's to show, to show that he's doing something, right? Throwing red meat to the base, right? As you would put it.
Right. But I think that is not what's going on, though. I don't think that he believes any of those are unattainable. I think that making public grocery stores is a concrete way to reduce the price of groceries.
How much is that going to reduce the price of groceries?
You can control the price of groceries.
I mean, I think you can just take less excessive profits than grocery stores currently take because they're all making money hand over fist since the pandemic.
Sorry, grocery stores are highly, highly profitable right now?
Insanely profitable.
The grocery stores, none of them have to do with like further up the supply chain. None of the profits are going to farmers.
You got me, dude. Some of it is, right.
That's what I'm saying, is like that they don't actually control, they don't produce food, so they don't actually control the prices of food, right? Yes, they have their margin, they control their margin.
Then why are they more profitable now than they were before the pandemic?
Yeah, that okay. So yeah, if that's the case, then they're getting better margins, they're gouging some. So
and
yeah,
even if
so then
even
they would
if his
control some of it. So I'm saying they would control some of it, right? But it's like, is that
which would lower the prices of groceries?
Again, it kind of feels like you have a pretty unrealistic standard in this. Like, what would look like virtue to you here if it's not something like this?
Yeah, I think that these are the right steps, right? So like maybe you guys are misunderstanding me. Like, sure, you need to look into the things that seem most likely related to the big issues, but like, what magnitude of impact do I expect from these things? Not much. That's what I'm saying.
He's got to try, right, within the limits of what he can do. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to, but, in this case, we do seem to think he is.
He should. That's right. But I mean, also, like, I feel like the tenor of the campaign was a little bit high on, it was ambitious, let's say. Some might say unrealistic.
That's good, dude. I want ambitious politicians again, dude. If anything, the Democratic Party is far too unambitious in general, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my,
in fact,
that was my nice
I would
word.
say if you kind of factor in the fact that, this is like he actually has the power to enact these policies, and Adam Schiff is introducing legislation to a body he doesn't control in any way.
No, he can only control his own actions, dude. It's not fair to make him responsible for all of Congress, right? Like, okay, look at these two images you now have side by side. In one case, they're just like, no, this is so sad. What a terrible guy. And in the other case, he's actually trying to take meaningful action to curtail Trump's abuses, right? I think he belongs in... so now we're just changing our whole tier list, dude. Start the segment over.
Fascist?
Whoa, oh my God, it was actually a political alignment chart the whole time. My God, wow. It's
hold on. Doesn't Bannon belong in fascist? Like, he's the biggest fascist there is.
Right, he does. And also, both Danny and I thought that the Schiff belongs in the top category here because it's just concrete.
Comrade Schiff, you're on the team.
Yes. Wow, you were holding the wool over our eyes big time there, Phil.
Yeah. The secondary main point I wanted to get at is that when you're voting for Donald Trump, the thing that you're supporting is basically them openly being evil. And that when you vote for leftists, you're voting for people who are actually trying to improve the situation. So maybe do that instead of actively trying to make the world a worse place. I don't know. Maybe that would be nice.
It'd certainly be a change, that's for sure.
Amen.
And I don't know. What do you guys think of my twist at the end there?
I mean, it did line up pretty well, actually. I was surprised. It wasn't perfect. It was 80% accurate.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I think that centrists do a lot of things to make the world better. But so anyway, I thought it was a nice little twist indeed. But like, I just actually disagree that like leftists are the ones trying to make the world better and that centrists aren't. So I don't agree with you on that.
And if you don't agree with me on that, let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe and join us for another slam jam damder of an episode of Info Hazard.
Booyah.
Bye.